This presentation is about transitive active verbs and a new noun job, indirect objects. Before we get into the new material, let's do some review. First off, transitive active verbs transfer their action to a receiver. The way I remember that is transitive starts with trans, and so does transfer. So you know that transitive active verbs transfer their action. The receiver of the action is a noun called a direct object. Here are some examples. Jenna sang the song loudly. Jenna is the subject, and she sang. This is the action. That action is being transferred onto another noun in the sentence, song. Song is a thing, so it's a noun, and the action of singing is being transferred onto the song. So song is the direct object, and the song is receiving the action of singing. Here's another example. It's easier to see with an example like this one. Michelle kicked Andrew. Kicked is the action, and Andrew is receiving the action. So Andrew is the direct object. Okay, he is receiving the action of kicking. So, direct objects and indirect objects. Before we introduce indirect objects, let's make double sure that you can find direct objects. Here's a sentence, Carla baked a cake, and here's another one, Tim sent a package. Can you identify the direct object in those sentences? Hopefully you can see that cake is the direct object over here, and package is the direct object in this sentence. Both of these nouns, cake and package, are receiving the action. So Carla baked what? Carla baked a cake. And cake, being a noun, it's a thing, receives the action of being baked. Tim sent what? Tim sent a package. Package, again, is a noun, it's a thing, and it is receiving the action of being sent. With these sentences, we can add a prepositional phrase. Carla baked a cake for Shannon. For is a preposition, and Shannon is a noun, being the object of the preposition. Tim sent a package to Henry. Again, to is a preposition, and Henry is a noun, and in this case, Henry is the object of the preposition. So, in the English language, there's another way to say Carla baked a cake for Shannon. You could say, Carla baked Shannon a cake. You could also say, Tim sent Henry a package. These sentences have the same meaning, but in this case down here with Carla baked Shannon a cake, there's no prepositional phrase. There is no preposition in this case. So you still have the same nouns. You have Carla and cake and Shannon, and Carla and Shannon and cake, but now this noun Shannon used to be the object of the preposition. Down here there is no preposition, so this noun is receiving the direct object. Hopefully you can see that. Carla baked a cake, and the cake is the direct object. The cake is for Shannon, so Shannon is receiving the direct object. Okay? The same thing is happening over here. Tim sent a package to Henry. The package is the direct object. It's what's being sent. Henry is who it's being sent to. Okay? So Henry is receiving the direct object. In this case, Henry's still receiving this direct object. There just isn't a prepositional phrase. Tim sent Henry a package. So the package was sent, so the package is still the direct object, and Henry received the package. Henry is receiving the direct object. So in these sentences below that have no prepositional phrase, we now call that noun indirect object. Okay? It's not an object of a preposition anymore because there is no preposition. So now they are called indirect objects, which is a new noun job. Indirect objects are nouns and pronouns that receive the direct object. They answer the questions for whom and to whom about the direct object without using a preposition. Here is a special note you need to remember. You have to have a direct object in order to have an indirect object. The job of the indirect object is to receive the direct object. So you have to have a direct object first. Okay, so you can't have an indirect object unless you have a direct object. So diagramming indirect objects. First, we're going to look at the sentence that had the prepositional phrase. Tim sent a package to Henry. We know how to diagram that. That's pretty easy. We put our subject and our verb, and then our half line, and then our direct object, then our adjective, and then the prepositional phrase to Henry tells you where the package was sent. Where is an adverb question. We're describing the verb sent. To goes on the slant, that's the preposition. Henry goes on the flat line, that's the object of the preposition. Pretty simple. But what if we take out that preposition and we now have Tim sent Henry a package? Well, to diagram Henry when it's not in a prepositional phrase, we're still going to put the subject Tim, and he still sent a package, right? We're going to diagram the indirect object very similar to the way we diagram the prepositional phrase. Only we're not going to add a preposition because there is no preposition in this sentence. And Henry is going to go on a flat line under sent with this part empty, blank. We leave the slanted line blank. So now it is Tim sent Henry a package. All right, and this is how you diagram indirect objects. But remember, you must have a direct object in order to have an indirect object. You cannot have an indirect object if there's no direct object for this noun to receive. Okay? Now you know 4 noun jobs. 1, you know the subject. The noun can be a subject. Mary is a noun, and Mary's doing the action in this sentence. Mary passed the ball. You also know direct object. The direct object receives the action. Mary passed the ball. The ball, this other noun, was passed. It received this action of being passed. You know object of a preposition. Mary passed the ball to Jimmy. To is a preposition, Jimmy is a noun, and Jimmy received the ball. So Mary passed the ball to Jimmy, prepositional phrase. Now you know indirect object. Mary passed Jimmy the ball. The ball receives the action of being passed, and Jimmy receives the ball. So we've got subject, direct object, and indirect object. Okay, those are your 4 noun jobs that you now know.